Well, joining us, Canadian chef Lina Caschetto. Her Argentina meets France bistro is called Cantina, and it's in Paris's 10th arrondissement. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, for you, what does good France mean?
Well, I think it's really important to consider how we consume and how we sustain our food. And in a restaurant especially, how we approach that and how we take that into consideration every single day. It's something that we think about a lot at Cantina. Something
you think a lot. And so, concretely, tell me a dish that for you is sort of emblematic that you prepare.
So we are doing a dish of empanadas, but instead of doing like with ground beef, which would be probably a more desirable product in terms of how we as consumers think about meat, we're doing it with blood sausage, and we are using pig's head meat in the blood sausage. So we're taking something that might not necessarily be that expensive or be something that is that, quote unquote, desirable, and we're transforming that into a dish.
So, Lina, when you go to the big wholesale market at Rungis, do you pay attention to where the stuff comes from and try this whole push to try to buy local?
We definitely do source locally. We work with suppliers. I don't get to go directly to Rungis, but we have suppliers that we work with that are working with local farmers, local producers, people that are growing meat, making all of those things happen, and it's all happening locally.
So I'm going to grumble a little bit because I'm French.
Grumble.
And when I go to markets, I get the sense that there's less, not more, locally grown stuff.
Yeah, it's true. There are a lot of suppliers in the markets that are just going to Rungis. They're buying things in bulk, things from, we're not really sure where. Well, I mean, we know in France we get a lot of vegetables from Spain, from Morocco, from around in other places. But if you look closely, you can see there are people still that are furnishing the markets, that are bringing the things that they're growing themselves and selling them to you. You just kind of have to look a little bit closer.
Right now, we have this unique political context in this country that you, as a Canadian, are witness to. On the one hand, you have the Yellow Vest movement, people feeling they're dispossessed of their heritage in a way, and you have the Fridays for the Future demonstrations by young people worrying about the planet.
Yeah,
and maybe food is where the two can meet somehow.
I think there's lots of opportunities for us to think about how we can come together. In terms of food, of course, food is really expensive now, and a lot of people have a hard time kind of having a hard time making ends meet, I would say. So trying to think about how to consume maybe in a way that is a little bit more sustainable, thinking about saving maybe the trim from your meat or the trim from your vegetables and turning it into a stock. Or even cooking with the stems, because not a lot of people necessarily think about that, but the stem from kale or from chard is just as edible as the leafy part that, again, we might consider as being more desirable.
Do you feel as though the French have lost a little bit of that tradition?
No, there's still, I think, a consideration for pâtés and charcuteries and different things like that are using things that might otherwise, that we might otherwise kind of throw in the garbage can. But there still is also the sort of side of gastronomy, like the very haute cuisine in France, where, really they are taking they're being very selective and taking the best of the best and the nicest leaf off of a piece of watercress.
So when you look at your menus today, and you look at what your menus were like maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Is there a change? And I guess what's the food of the future for you?
Oh, that's a good question. But I know a lot of people think that insects and things like that are going to be what we're going to be eating. I will taste them. I don't know if I will be really into it or not. I can't promise you. That will be what I get into. But, I think we will all be considering where things are coming from and how we're using them and how we're using all the parts of them.
And at your restaurant, what's changed in that respect?
It's just even continuing even further into that. Even now, we save all the stems from all of the herbs just so that we can use them to smoke to smoke the beans for another dish. It's like we're really everything is going full circle. So maybe more so than even ever before.
this move away from grains, from especially from wheat, is that impacting you?
No.
Not at all.
No.
And,
we have we have 2 sandwiches on the menu. We have a pâte brisée that is made with wheat, and I make my own focaccia at the restaurant. So, you know, if people don't want to eat wheat, I'm sure they can find a way around that through, you know, options on the menu, but we're still eating it. We're still serving it.
are the customers becoming more demanding, or?
No, I think the biggest request that we get for anything on the menu is that people don't want to have aioli.
Really?
Maybe they're worried about the garlic, but want to know a tip? You take the germ out of the garlic, and then your mouth doesn't smell bad for the rest of the day.
God, I love aioli. Oh.
Me too.
Anyway, all right, yeah. No, you got to have plenty of garlic in that. Lina Caschetto, many thanks. Your restaurant is called Cantina in Paris's 10th arrondissement.
Yes.
What's on the menu this evening for
we have those empanadas that I was talking about and a smoked white bean hummus.
All right, Cantina, Paris's 10th arrondissement near the Canal Saint-Martin. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you.